How's it going, everyone? So, I am pretty excited because it is spruce tip season. That's right. Weather's different in different places, but here in Northeast Oregon, the Blue Mountain Range, our spruce tips are waking up. And the reason that I really love spruce tip season here is because the way our valley works is like the elevation changes really quickly. So like I will be able to chase these spruce tips well into June. And if I really felt so inclined, I could chase them all the way through July if I went way, way, way up high in elevation. And we have Engelmann spruce here. You might have blue spruce even just growing in your yard. They're a really popular ornamental tree that neighborhoods like to plant. Most spruces are medicinal, edible, or a traditional food. But you know, just make sure that the spruce you're working with, take a moment to identify her and make sure that she's not indeed poisonous. Although, just to say, there's only like 2 or 3 poisonous spruces for internal use, and like I think only one of them grows here in the US, and it's very sparse. But still, know what plant you're working with. So spruce tips are pretty amazing. They're crazy, crazy high in vitamin C, so you can just eat these and they're like sour, like a lemon. And they are how the tree expands its limbs. So like every season, they wake up and like the limb on the tree is here and it puts out this new one. This will become, you know, a part of that limb, and then next year, this now older limb will put out a new limb, and that's how they grow. So you want to make sure when you're harvesting these to do so sparsely around the tree, because it basically is its leaves coming out. They're not leaves, but you know what I mean. And so it's best to find a whole bunch of trees and take a little from them versus a whole lot from one tree. But that's just ethical harvesting for anything, really. So today I'm going to show you how to make a spirited oxymel. You might be thinking, what the hell is a spirited oxymel? Let's talk about what an oxymel is first. An oxymel is when somebody takes vinegar and honey and infuses herbs in their honey and their vinegar are together and then blends it together. And it's kind of like looked at as like an alcohol-free tincture. However, it's not a tincture, and I don't think it should be classed in that way at all. I don't even like to use the word classed. But it's a completely different entity, because vinegar is really, really neat. Let me take a breath here. Vinegar is really, really neat for being able to pull out the mineral content and the water constitutes of a plant. Honey actually can do that as well. So together you're like, wow, that's really good, because it'll have all that vitamin C, and it'll have, you know, you can make yourself an oxymel that is like a salad dressing, and it's going to have all these rich and amazing minerals in it. Vinegar is particularly great at pulling out calcium, although I wouldn't say there's a ton of calcium in spruce tips. But the thing that's missing from that is the alcohol properties, the alcohol-soluble properties, the medicinal values that can't be pulled out of this with just water and heat or vinegar and honey. For that, you need vodka. And so I started making these spirited oxymels because I feel like they're more well-rounded. Like you're getting the like amazing abilities of the vinegar to pull out like the nutritional value, and then you're getting the amazing abilities of the 100 proof vodka to pull out the medicinal value, and I feel like that ends up just being more well-rounded. And then one of the issues with an oxymel is it has a very short shelf life, particularly if you're using raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, which you should be doing. You don't want to be making an oxymel with like white vinegar. And you could use pasteurized apple cider vinegar, but you really want to be using the raw. But then it'll start to basically create a new mother on you. It will, you know, be a little bit too strong to use. So oxymels that don't have alcohol in them are not what I would consider shelf stable. I mean, they're stable for like 6 months to a year, but after that, you know, the bottom of your tincture bottle or your oxymel bottle is usually about that thick with sludge. You know, and it's not going to kill you to use it, but also after a year, the medicinal value and the nutrient value that's been pulled out by the vinegar is falling off. But the alcohol can preserve that. However, on the upside, or the downside, I guess, on the downside, you're not going to be taking a large amount of this. You're going to take it like a tincture dose. So I wouldn't say, like, it's a good source of nutrition, but it's not like, oh, this is like, you know, eating a whole healthy diet or drinking nourishing herbal infusions. But I just like how it makes it feel more whole for me. So I started making these, you know, spirited oxymels. So if that's enough information for you, let's get started. Because I swear to God, it's not as complicated as I probably just made it sound. So you're going to take a jar. I needed a half-gallon jar, but they're all in use. But this one works just fine. It's a fermenting jar. Anything that you can put a cap on. And generally you're going to want a jar that you can fill up most of the way with what you're putting in it. So I'm just going to take my spruce tips and put them in the jar. Now you want to use these within a couple hours of harvesting because their mineral content falls off pretty quickly. But that's the case for like any vegetable you pick. That's why like there's been lots of interesting studies that say there's more nutritional content in frozen vegetables you find in the store than there are the ones you buy fresh. Not to say don't eat fresh vegetables, but that's just interesting to me. I normally, you guys see me chop up the stuff I'm making a tincture with, but I don't personally feel that's necessary here because these are such young and fragile tips. Like their cellular structure is just gonna get broken into really easy by the vodka. So I'm not overly concerned about chopping her up. Besides, all it would do is break it into all these tiny little leaves there. So spruce tips in the jar. Now I'm gonna open up my vodka, my vinegar. Third time's the charm. I'm going to give it a good shake because I do want the mother in there. I was so lucky we have like a local discount store here, you know, like a grocery thing. I could probably say the name, I might get in trouble, I don't know. And they had all this really familiar brand of raw apple cider vinegar there for $1.50 a bottle. I look like a crazy lady because I filled an entire cart. So you're just going to fill up your jar, whatever size. Just pick a jar that you can pretty much fill most of the way uncompact with your herb. So looks like you'll take the whole bottle. I'm going to put the whole bottle in there, but you just do it, you know, 50-50. You don't have to do all that complicated math. A lot of books are going to tell you to do the 5-to-1, the this, the this, the this, the that. Just dump some vinegar in there. Just dump some vinegar in there. It smells like a pickle in here. So now, I'm going to take my raw honey. You don't have to use raw honey, but I prefer it. My raw unheated honey. And I'm going to just dump it in there. I'm going to fill it up a good part of the way with honey. Because that honey has ability to really extract some good properties from the plant, as well as if it's raw, it does have a good nutrient content to it. And so now I'm going to take 100 proof vodka. Now we use 100 proof because that means it's 50% water, 50% alcohol. There's no guessing. Every drop of this alcohol is 50-50. So you're not going to have to do any complicated math to make this safe to take. And it'll be in even less alcohol content because we've got already, you know, all this vinegar and honey in there. So I'm just going to fill it the rest of the way up with vodka. I really like the layers. I think that's pretty cool looking. So I'm going to go as close to the top as I can without making a mess when I close it, because it's important to fill your tinctures all the way up so oxidation doesn't occur, which can like degrade the plant matter some, but mainly it makes sure everything go like brown looking. And then I'm going to close the lid. I bet I put too much in there. It's going to spill out a little bit. But, you know, you can leave a tiny bit of headroom, so if you're using a mason jar, the metal isn't soaking in the alcohol or the vinegar. But this is ceramic, so I don't have to worry about that. But as you can see, all the cool layers in there. And then you can give it a good shake. I don't know if that's a good idea with this one. So I might wait until it's like kind of settled in a bit more. And then, or not, I might have been just... I think I might have just been spilling out the excess. Let's try again. Let's see if I make myself a liar. I am making myself a liar. That's okay. I'm used to smelling like vodka. So I will wait, because this isn't the right type of jar. I will wait a few days for it all to kind of mingle together, then I'll just come in with a spoon and stir it. But if you have a mason jar that's not leaking, you can just shake it up. So now all I'm going to do is take a label and label it. So now I know what she is. On these labels, I make these myself. You can just use masking tape or something simple like that. On these labels, it talks about, you know, how many ounces I put in there. Like I weighed that spruce tip before we started. You know, what type of vodkas I used, you know, how much vinegar, like, you know, where I got it from, what its name is. But you don't have to be that complicated. You just need to put on there just its name and its date. And again, unlike a normal oxymel, if you forget about this, you're like, you make it, you're like in a making frenzy with a spring, and you're like, oh my god, it's been there for like a year. You know what? It's okay, because it's going to be preserved by that alcohol content. Unlike a normal oxymel, you really wouldn't want to use it if it's been sitting there for a year or more. Not that it would kill you, again, it's just that it wouldn't have much nutritional content left to it. And it might be a little, I don't know, I'd call it skunky. So this is super easy. Super easy. I'm pretty sure that you're smart enough to do this. And now is the season. You know, now is definitely the season to be out looking for spruce tips. And what's she good for? You're thinking, well, what do I do with this medicine, right? She's really, really awesome for colds, flus, and even seasonal allergies. And I know you're also thinking, but it's summertime, and I'm not going to be getting colds and flus. You know, what do I need to make this medicine now? Be the ant, not the grasshopper. You know how many people, like, they get sick and then they start seeking out herbal medicine? You know, they have the flu and they're like, oh no, I need to buy an elderberry tincture. Well, by the time you buy that, or the time you start making one, then if you're not too ill, by the time it's ready, you aren't going to have it on hand when you need it. So, you know, you start getting sick, that's the time to reach for something you've already made preemptively. And spring and summer exist for getting ready for fall and winter. So start making these medicines now, because you'll regret it otherwise. Well, I mean, you're not going to be like filled with regrets, but you know what I mean. So if you like my videos and watching me spill vodka and just randomly rant on here about things and potentially make no sense whatsoever, be sure to subscribe, and then come find me on Instagram. I'm over there all the time. I talk on there daily. I'm at She's of the Woods, and I'm pretty sure there's a link here in my bio. So thanks for watching, and I just want you to know that you are smart enough to do this, and you don't need to pay somebody a shit ton of money to learn how to do it. Okay? We'll see you next time. Bye!